So I will say, I have this idea, and then like it'll spout things at me and say like, can I do this for you? Can I draft? And I'm like, no, shut up and listen to me. I don't need you to talk right now. I need you to listen, because it wants to like be helpful, as you say. Like it's the
Yes.
coding is all about like getting you to use it more.
Yeah. You say, I got this idea. What do you think about it? Oh, that's a great idea. Here, I just wrote a story about it.
I don't
It's
want
like,
you to write a story, mate. I
yeah,
want you you know, like I want you to tell me where the holes are, where it, whatever. You're like, that's the kind of thing. Like I want to be able to say, like, I feel like there isn't enough meat here.
yeah.
Like, help me work through the snarl of it.
Releasing your inner dragon.
You want to start or me?
I'll start. Today, I have a question that will not evoke controversy at all. There will not be people in the comments screaming about it one way or another. Except we really
'Cause-
want you to scream in the comments, so go ahead, get ready.
Yeah, this is a very neutral. This is a very neutral topic that no one cares about. There's
you're
no
you're
passion
you're
around this at
you're
all.
you're gonna want to make some comments here. Drake, what are we talking about?
I think because this is a topic that obviously we've thought about talking about for a really long time. And yes, I'm actually now in my mind going, how long can we talk about this without actually mentioning what we're going to talk about? We have for like what, 2 years we've been talking about this topic, and it's always like, but it's such a controversial thing, and oh, people, misunderstand this, or what if it actually is this? Because I think we also got kind of caught up in the stupidity of it in the beginning and the terror of it, of what it could mean if it actually did what it did, and so on and so forth. But I finally feel like we're ready to talk about AI. I think that we understand it enough. I think that we actually can dispel a lot of the stupid bull crap that the world has been caught up in, and this lie. I said before we started, I said that what I actually think it is, it's the largest, most worldwide casting couch scam that has ever existed in human history. And if you're not familiar with that, it's when a girl goes to Hollywood and she meets some sleazy dude who says, I can get you into a movie. And then, you know, she allows
Turns
him to
out
do
no.
things. Huh? Yeah. She
Turns out
allows him
no,
to.
he won't.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, no. He's not even in Hollywood. He just rents a crappy cockroach infested apartment in Burbank and made business cards that says he's a producer, but he's not. And so you end up doing things that you probably wouldn't have done, and you get nothing for it, um, except for maybe some
Yeah.
weird venereal disease. And that's AI.
Yeah.
AI is the creepy dude who says he's a producer and he's not, who's renting a crappy cockroach infested apartment in Burbank. That is what the AI industry is. Not AI itself, but the industry is that creepy producer, because they're lying. They're just
Yeah.
flat out lying and taking your money or taking your whatever. Now, that being said, before we get too deep into this, we are not anti-AI. It is an amazing tool, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you can actually use it, because there is some fantastic things about it. But
Yes.
everything that you've been told about it, all those ads that keep popping up on Facebook and Instagram and all of that, they're all blatant lies, just flat out lies. So that's my opinion of it anyway. But anyway, I think we can talk about it. I think we can enlighten some people, and hopefully there's a
Let
lot of
me
like,
let me let me start with what actually is a large language model, because I feel like people have a massive illusion about what this thing is. They, a large language model literally just has an enormous body of knowledge. Yeah? It has been trained on a vast body of knowledge and has the
let,
prediction. Yeah?
let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Because that's actually part of the problem is that definition.
Yeah.
Because you said it's trained on a large body of knowledge. And that
Yeah.
makes people think, oh, well, if I read every encyclopedia book on the planet and every, grammar book and everything, I would know things. It isn't trained on knowledge, it's trained on individual words. It has no knowledge of what that means.
Yeah.
So just that's a part of the problem is we think that it
So
actually has knowledge. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at, right? So it's
Right,
been
right,
trained on this vast knowledge, but basically all that's been done is there's a massive index that's been run on this body of knowledge, and within this index, it's got itself a statistical prediction model, and it predicts what the next word is going to be, except it's not just the next word. It can tokenize it a little bit and predict it and do things like that. But it's literally just like going, the next word should be blah, based on all of the statistical knowledge that I've gathered, right? It creates images in much the same way to a certain extent. Like the image should look like this. But this is the reason why AI at one point really struggled with things like the spelling of strawberry. How many R's are in strawberry, you would ask it. It could correctly put strawberry on the screen, but it can't actually count the number of R's. What it
right,
does is it goes, what does the internet think that this body of knowledge I've been trained on, what do they think the number of R's in strawberry is?
right.
And unfortunately, the body of knowledge that it had been trained on believed at one point that there were two R's in strawberry, or, not the amount of R's that there are. It's why I can't draw a glass of wine that is full to the brim. It can only draw a glass of wine that is half full, even if you tell it fill the glass to the brim, all of that, because it doesn't actually know what the word full glass means. It knows that on the internet, a glass of wine is always shown half full because that's how full glasses are poured in a restaurant. Like, this is the thing that people don't understand. It is not thinking. It has no logic. It has a statistical model of prediction. It's a very advanced one. And I'm not like denigrating the mathematics or the statistics that go into these algorithms at all. It is impressive. But it's not intelligence. This thing is not smart. It does not understand logic. It is ultimately a statistical prediction model.
Yeah. And it's getting better.
Yeah.
Um, like your strawberry thing reminded me that, and I didn't test this on the later versions of GPT-4, like 4.0 or whatever, but before that, it couldn't tell you how many words were like if you said something like write me a 14-word sentence about strawberries, it would never write you a 14-word sentence about strawberries. Now I haven't run that test in a while and I just did it on 5. No, this is 4.0, sorry, because I don't 5 is not as good as 4. We'll talk about that too. So this is 4.0 and I just did it and it actually I told it to give me a 14-word sentence about strawberries and it did, and then a 21-word sentence about strawberries and it did. So it's getting better at, but that's still just math.
Yeah.
It's getting better at math now.
So after half the internet pointed out the strawberry thing, right? After half the coders on the internet pointed out the strawberry thing, they put some like basic logic stuff in to make it do like little things so that we couldn't keep laughing at it, right?
Right.
Which is why it now does some counting and so on. But it is ultimately just working on the statistic of its predicted model. And that's
Yeah.
also why, like, it won't come up. Like, people have this delusion that it'll come up with new science. It
Hmm.
won't.
It actually can't create anything
That's
new.
not within its ability.
Hmm.
That's not within this program's comprehension. you know. And I'm sorry to say, but all of the guys, remember all of the guys who stand up on a stage and try and convince investors to invest in their loss-making companies are lying
Yeah.
to investors.
And
Like,
and
do not believe them.
and there's two things now that I want to talk about. I should probably be taking notes because we're gonna be bouncing around a little bit. But first of all, a lot of people have never heard, I know me and you have talked about it, but a lot of people have never heard about the Chinese box theory. This came
Yeah.
out in the 50s when computers were still room-sized,
Mm.
things that had punch cards in them. And the world was like, these things are going to kill us all. And so I can't remember who it was, but there was a physicist, a scientist, somebody who came up with this thing that he called the Chinese box theory. And basically it said if we took a box and we put a person inside the box, and he had a bunch of cards that had Mandarin characters on them. Now, this guy does not speak Mandarin, but
Mm.
he's got just a bunch of Chinese characters on them. If
Mm.
somebody outside of the box wrote a question in Mandarin and then slipped it through a slot, and the guy got it, and he took the Mandarin characters and he matched them up on what he has inside the box, and it had a character next to it, and he would just write that character down, and then he would slip it out. The What he would slip out would be an answer to the question. So the person outside the box would think the person inside this box must speak, Cantonese or Mandarin,
Yeah.
because I asked you a question in Mandarin, you answered me in Mandarin. Obviously, you speak Mandarin. The problem is the person inside the box will never speak Mandarin because they have no reference for anything. It's a bunch of symbols that don't mean anything to that person, and they're matching up with another symbol that doesn't mean anything to that person, and they're just copying that symbol. And that's the way computers work.
Mm.
And that's literally the way AI works. It is matching symbols that it has no concept of. It just, since it has been trained on the internet and it's trained
Yeah.
on us actually talking, it goes, oh, look, when somebody says it's been trained on, us naturally talking, then
Mm.
that's the order that I should put these symbols in. It doesn't know what us is. It doesn't know what,
Yeah.
talking is. It doesn't know what naturally is. It just knows the order that it sees it over and over and over and over again mathematically. And so
Mm.
it runs algorithms, which is just math, to
Hmm.
go, oh, this is probably the next word I should do.
Yeah. The person's actually John Searle,
Mm.
not Robert, as our comment section said. Robert Searle was a pirate, was an amazingly famous pirate, but I mean, not a coding pirate, a real R pirate.
Hard, hard, matey. Give
But
me your
John's,
ones and zeros.
yeah, that's the one. The one you're thinking of, John Searle. There's also the Turing test, which was designed by Alan Turing, who is
Hmm.
of course one of the most famous, probably the father of modern computing. Um, and he basically was like, if you can't tell the difference in conversation. Now the thing is, I think in theory, ChatGPT could probably pass the Turing test.
So it can pass the Turing test to any normal human being that is just
Yeah.
that doesn't
Having a
have any
conversation. Yeah.
right. That doesn't understand what they're talking to. If you
Yes.
understand, I mean, there's videos on the YouTube now that's like, oh, look, I can tell you exactly what's AI written at a glance, and here's how. I
Yeah.
mean, it is once you learn that it is this mathematical list of words, you start
Yeah.
going, oh, I can recognize the math. Oh, look, math.
I just want to say one thing on that topic. You will pry M dashes out of my cold dead keyboard. Just because AI uses a lot of it does
No, no,
not
no, no,
mean that
no,
you
no.
are going to be able to tell me that I must stop using M dashes or be accused of AI.
It
You.
has nothing. It has nothing to do with that, and that is a misnomer. I use M dashes.
Yeah.
AI uses M dashes as commas in every other freaking sentence.
Yes.
Not even where like
It's
it
just
will edit
everywhere.
it'll edit, like I'll give it something to edit, and it'll take a perfectly good sentence with an absolutely grammatically correct comma and go, oh, this is grammatically incorrect. It needs an M dash here. It doesn't. That's actually grammatically incorrect. It is a comma. So no, I don't think that just because you and I use M dashes, that means that we're AI.
I know
But
we're not AI, but
if you replace half the commas in your manuscript with M dashes, you're probably AI. That's what I'm saying.
but and I heard another very good description of AI, which is that it sounds plausible until you talk to it about something you're an expert in, then you
Mhm.
realize its limitations really fast.
Yeah.
Um,
And maybe that's the reason why I've been so shattered
mm.
on the illusion that they've been trying to push out.
So that's kind of what's wrong. And I mean, part of the reason why I guess we spent the first part of this going like what AI is not is because there are so many lies about
Yeah.
all of the like AI will write your whole book for you. No, it won't. AI will create your whole world for you, only if you want a really crap world.
Yeah.
You know, like,
AI will write all your programming code for you.
oh no,
No.
no, no. We will replace programmers with AI. No, you won't.
Yeah. No, you won't.
Like
No.
AI is really good. And the best one is we've already replaced 30% of our coders with AI. No, you haven't.
Yeah.
You've given your coders, your programmers, AI tools, and it's made them 30% more productive
Yes.
because AI is a good tool. Or these LLMs, we shouldn't even call them AI because they're not.
They're not a well, that's why
Yeah,
no one even
yeah,
the spinsters don't even call it artificial intelligence anymore. They don't
yeah,
use that term. That term
yeah,
is gone. If you listen to them, they only say AI,
yeah,
which means nothing
yeah.
because they know it's not intelligent. But
No,
there's one thing I want to get into before we get into the
yeah.
niceness of it, because I actually think it's very important to understand why we as a human species have fallen so hard for this, you know, balderdash.
Mm,
It's because it's literally ingrained in our society for the last 200 years almost. Sci-fi is a part of our culture. It has constantly had intelligent computers, intelligent, and in both sides. And that's why both sides, like I was talking to someone at my live class this month. We went out, I go out to dinner after every class, and they were petrified of AI, petrified of it. And it's because that's the fiction that this person gravitates to. And I was
mm,
like, not scary because it actually has no abilities. And those that are like, it's going to replace my workforce. It's going to create new science. It's going to, take over the world and we're going to have leisure time 38 hours a day now. They're also snowed by the fact that the fictional kind of amalgam of society is blinding them to the reality of what it actually is. So if you can get away from that, if you can separate yourself from the emotional, we're all gonna die, or it's gonna do everything for us, which is all fiction. Now, does that mean that we'll never have general AI? I don't know. I make stuff up for a living. I doubt it. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, but could it happen? Sure.
so
Technology is
so
amazing.
so I'll tell you as somebody who actually did. I mean, I one of my professors at university was a literal world famous AI specialist. He spent 10 years of his life coding missile heads for the Pentagon. With like targeting and stuff like that. And we spoke about because I did a couple of AI courses, and we spoke about the the nature, the problem with developing something that is like us is we don't understand our own functioning.
Yeah, we don't understand
Our,
us.
yeah, we don't understand how our brain does the computations, it does the knowledge storing, it does any of that. And you can't replicate what you're standing inside of. You can only replicate what you understand well enough that you're
Unless, and
standing
yeah,
inside
unless you
of.
understand it. If you
Yes.
understand what you're standing aside of,
Yeah.
you could, but
So
we don't.
yeah, so and that's part of the problem, you know. So we could develop something that is like us, but it wouldn't be us exactly. And we are honestly miles away from it, like literal miles.
I think so too.
LLMs aren't even in the right direction, you know, like because
LLMs
they're
are literally
basically
just a super fast Google search engine. That's all they
yeah,
are,
yeah. That's really
without the stupid ads.
a super fast engine that you can refine your query on.
Hmm.
That's what it is.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not knocking that. We have so
Oh,
much information available to us in the world that it is incredibly hard to find what you're looking for,
yeah.
right? Having that kind of search is great.
Yeah, I'm writing these biblical movie scripts,
Mm,
and I'm pulling out research in 5 minutes that would have taken me, if I had gone to Google, 2 hours.
yeah.
Easy. And so that amount of time savings for me to be able to, you know, basically to say, this is the information that I need for this moment.
Mm,
Give me links and then pull out the actual passages for me to use my human brain to understand
yeah.
and read. And it can do it in 5 minutes, and now I'm done and I'm moving on, as opposed to, the 2 or 3 or 4 hours, those old rabbit holes. And
Yeah.
we there's probably still a lot of people that do it. I don't anymore because Google is dead to me. I don't
Mm,
Google anything. I can't tell you the last time I went to, well, other than Google Maps. I do use
mm.
Google Maps because AI is, I don't think, there with telling me how to get across town. But that is the only thing I use Google for now. I don't use Google for anything
Mm,
because AI is so. Let's start here. There are two halves of AI. There is generative AI and degenerative AI, and it's both. It's two halves of it. So I'm not saying that there's AI out there that's generative and AI out there that's degenerative. It is a freaking masterclass when it comes to degenerative information. In other words, it can parse through someone else's information at a rate that is ungodly and pull information because it's not making any decisions.
mm.
It's, I have a task. I look through here for the task. I can do the task. It's the generative side that is so lacking because, as you alluded to earlier, it has no creativity. It only can make something that's already made. It cannot make something new. Now, does that mean that it can't combine two words in a way that they haven't been combined? No, it can do that, but it doesn't understand what those words are, and it's still using math to get to that point. And so maybe no one has ever said, we are now going to polish our brass candlesticks. But those words exist. And actually, Joel Rosenberg said that in a joke back in the 80s. But beside the point, the words exist. And again, it can use math to kind of switch them around or put them in an order maybe that hasn't been used a lot, or, maybe even ever. But it doesn't understand any of that stuff. So when you tell it to, like, hey, write me a cowboy movie script, it
Yeah.
goes out and it reads every cowboy movie script, and then it gives you a derivative of those cowboy movie scripts.
Yeah.
It doesn't create anything new. It doesn't have knowledge to go out and go, oh, but there's this thing that happened to me when I was working at this restaurant as a waiter that I could extrapolate and use in my story, even though my story is a Western or a sci-fi thing or whatever. It can't do any of that.
No, but what it can do, and this is, I guess, where it really does actually shine, is if you say to
Mhm.
it, I want a cowboy story, and one of the incidents I want to extrapolate from blah, 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 this whole
Mhm.
incident that happened to you. Because then it is actually capable of brainstorming with you
Mhm.
how to include that in your script. Okay,
But
so
that's its degenerative side. It's
yes,
it's it's using what already exists to kind of help
yeah.
you organize that data.
Yes. So
That's
in
why I think AI is going to be great for science because they have so much data to parse through
yeah.
that it can do it 1,000, a million, a billion times faster than a human being can.
So
So,
I'll tell you what we in computer science we have always had among programmers we've always had the concept of the rubber ducky programmer. So a rubber ducky programmer is a rubber ducky that you put on your desk. It's a literal rubber ducky.
right,
And when you have a problem with a piece of code, you're stuck. You explain or you have a bug or whatever. You explain the problem. You're looking at your code and you explain the problem to your rubber ducky first. And if that doesn't spark loose, a solution in your head, then you ask a human because 9 times out of 10, explaining the problem out loud to the thing on your desk will solve the problem in your head.
yes,
Now, AI takes that from you need to talk to a human 1 time in 10 to you need to talk to a human 1 time in 30, the LLMs.
I think it's even further than that,
because
but yes,
because it can, like, you put your problem into the LLM, and if you are working in a language that is well understood, because there are niche languages that have no examples on the internet or wrong examples on the internet, it will then proceed to confidently give you completely wrong information, right?
right,
Do not try and use it if you code in R. It doesn't work. Okay, but if you're in Python or C# or one of those like very normal common languages, it'll then parse through all of that and give you some solutions, and one of them will probably turn out to solve your problem. And that is what it is good at.
hmm but that's its degenerative side.
Yeah.
And it is fantastic when it comes to the degenerative side. That that alone makes it one of the most powerful tools that has been invented, maybe in human history.
No.
Like it is amazing.
Oh, heck no. No, 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 no. I'm sorry, but no, no, no. The wheel has got it beat.
I knew you were
Fire.
going to go with the
Control
wheel.
over fire. Control over fire is amazing, my man. We would be nowhere. The
Okay, how about
combustion
this? How about
engine?
this?
Oh
How about
my
this?
God.
How about this? In the last 50 years.
Sure. Sure. Wait, when was the internet itself? 70s. No,
69.
I can maybe.
69. Because it was born the same year as me.
No,
Um, when the ARPANET first came online.
no.
Um, so what I mean, just to put a button on this side, if you
Yeah.
fear AI that it's going to take over the world and kill us all, it can't. So like you're like, well, wait a minute now. I've seen those things where they talk to it and it tells them how it would take over the world. Yes, it's using math and everything that any human has ever said or written or done and gone, what would be the mathematical next thing to say? It doesn't know what it's saying. It literally is just spitting out random symbols that to it means nothing, but to us means, oh wow, it just said that it's going to take over the nuclear weapons and fire at us and do all this other
I'll
stuff.
I'll tell you what in my opinion the actual danger of AI is, and hopefully we're gonna get over this hump and people will stop doing this. But it is the mass production of content, use bad content
Yeah.
using AI is the actual problem. Okay,
Yeah.
like there is a reason to I don't, but I know how you combat it exactly because you can't, it's but people need
How
to
it's going to be
start being
compact, how it's going to be
discerning.
combated is people are
Yeah.
going to realize that it can't, since it doesn't have any intelligence, it can't tell the
Mm.
difference between correct information and incorrect information. And
Yeah.
I said earlier, we'll talk about why every iteration of AI is getting worse
Mm.
than the last iteration, and that is what plays into it. And I wrote a whole blog post on my Substack. But yeah, that's how we're going to get over that. Is where people are going to get burnt so much on AI because
Yeah.
they're going to buy into this. Oh, it can do this thing for me. And they're just going to get their butts handed to them. And they're going to be like, wow, it doesn't do what you said it can do.
Yeah.
So the
Hopefully.
number
But
one
yeah.
thing, the number
In the
one,
meantime, we're gonna have a crap ton of really crap content.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the number one danger
So
for
bad.
me in AI is for humanity to give it authority, to
Yeah.
think that it actually is an expert at anything. to think that it actually knows something.
Yeah.
That's where, and and I wrote a blog post on why you should never let AI write blog posts. And that's what's up on my Substack. Um, and it's because AI, since it isn't intelligent, since it has no
Mm.
brains whatsoever, and it literally is just looking at random symbols that mean nothing to it, when it looks at those symbols out there and you ask it a topic and it goes out and it goes, and let's say 90% of the symbols are factual, but 10% of them were just made up bullcrap. They're
Mm.
symbols. It cannot tell the difference between the symbols that are made up bullcrap and the symbols that are actual factual. So to it, all of it is factual,
Yeah.
and therefore it includes that error in its thing. Well, now so much content is being written by AI, and all of it contains that error code in it, that incorrect information. The next iteration of AI is using that to train on. So now it's not 10% bad information, it's 12% bad information. And the next one is being trained off of 14% bad information. And it's spiraling. It's in a death spiral right now. And so because it can't tell, it's symbols.
Yeah.
How do you tell a symbol, a good symbol that's accurate from a symbol that's inaccurate? They are
Yeah.
random symbols that mean nothing to me. So when you start realizing this stuff, when you start realizing what it what its actual limitations are, get away from the marketing hype, get away from the, oh, but just pay me $10 a month or $20 a month and I will make all your dreams come true. Just here, take off all your clothes and get on the couch and I will make you a famous actress. Like
Yeah.
if you can get over that, if you can stop believing the creepy guy who's not a producer who says he's a producer,
Yeah.
then you can start understanding what AI can actually do for you.
Yes.
So AI is not frightening. It is also not a godsend.
Yeah.
It's neither of those two things. So let's spend the rest of this time talking about how a writer can seriously leverage AI to help us do our job better. Because like you said,
Mm.
it didn't replace 30% of programmers. It just increased programmers' productivity by 30%. And I actually think if you pushed you, it would increase you even more than that because I'm probably getting 300% improvement out of it.
I get that, but a huge chunk of programming is just purely sitting there trying to figure out how do I
Mm,
marry the nonsense that a product owner has said with the limitations of actual code.
right.
And if you think an AI is any good at that, I have I have a bridge I want to sell you.
Well, it's so funny because everybody knows now when you call up to tech support or you call up to customer service or whatever, the AI or the
Mm.
little voice thing answers and it says, "How can I help you?" And you go, "Representative." It's like,
Yeah.
no, but just tell me what you need and I can help you. Yeah, representative. But seriously, if you would just tell me representative, okay, fine, I will connect you with a because everybody's gone through that where it's like,
Yeah.
well, this was a waste of 30 minutes of my time. So those were really rudimentary,
Yeah.
but AI just sounds better. So people are starting to get to the fact where you'll go onto a website and it'll be like, "Hi, I'm the AI assistant of this
Mm.
website. I can help you out with everything." And then you're like, "Okay, well, here's my problem." And it is a waste of 30 minutes of your time. And eventually you get to the where it's like, "Can I speak to a representative? Like, give me a customer support. Give me a human being." So nobody is shocked by the telephone little system that can't help you. It's just going to take time for humanity to realize that the little AI bot can't help you either.
Yeah.
It can help with just like the phone thing. It's like, "Oh, I lost my password. Okay, here's the link to reset your
Reset your
password."
password.
It can do that just like the phone person can do it. It's like, you know, I
So in
don't
coding,
know what hours you're open. Oh,
yeah.
we're open from 9 to 5. Like it can do that. And yes, that means that it does save the company money on these really rudimentary, stupid questions
Yeah.
that anyone should have been able to look up on their own or even, have the knowledge of, oh yeah, most businesses open 9 to 5. So probably somewhere in the range of 9 to 5. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah, so
becoming that.
that's the thing. So it does increase productivity in coders. It is not replacing any coders.
Oh,
Like,
no. And it's not going to replace writers.
no, it's not going to replace writers. So let's
This was
talk.
years
Let's
ago.
talk a little bit about what it can do.
Yeah.
I decided the other day on a new character arc for my whip, and I decided that I had a historical figure that was going to work really, really well for the arc that I want this character to go on. So, but I didn't have all of the historical details, and it's Mannerheim, which I know none of you have heard about, but a lot has been written about Mannerheim if from a Finland perspective. He's sort of the father of the nation, if you will. He was the field marshal in charge president during the Second World War when the Soviet Union came pounding down our doors and stuff. Like, anyway. Um, so Mannerheim has got a lot of content on him. And what I was specifically interested in was his relationship with Imperial Russia pre the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that content is in Swedish and in Finnish and and I could go read it. But it is easier to just get like synthesis of like, go check this book for these details, rather than plow through Finnish and Swedish history books until I find the solutions. And it spat out what I wanted it to do, gave me
Yeah.
some raw source material links, which I could then go buy and read, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. With this biblical thing, I can say, pull me the information on this moment of this story from these three versions of the Bible, anything that is in the Torah on it, anything that's in the Quran about it,
Mm.
anything that's in the book of Jasper about it, and then three other sources or whatever. And it will go through and it will pull out verbatim because it's just looking up on
Mm.
the internet and then giving me, and like, it would take me hours of flipping through and writing down and bookmarking and, noting and all this. And I can get it in minutes.
Yeah.
So actually, if we're going to do this, let's organize this, and we'll start
Okay.
here. But I've got 5 things that I think we can talk about, and if you have something to add, you can add it. But I think we should talk about research, which is kind of what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
Plotting, world building, grammar, and writing.
Okay.
So let's start with research because we're already kind of
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah.
But again, that's the degenerative side of what it can do. So being able to look up anything, like, because again, it extrapolates. So going back to our cowboy movie example,
Mm.
when you say, what is the most common thing that is used in this genre? It's going out and just extrapolating data that already exists and parsing it and feeding it to you. So anything like that for research is a godsend. And I never went to college, but I can only imagine it's got to be one of the best times to go to college when it comes to having to do research because you can get it in minutes. It's an insanely fast way to parcel out research.
So I'll say a few. I'll make a few caveats. One, you should only use it for research if you are actually looking for research. If you are in college and you have a prescribed book, go read the
Oh,
book
certainly,
because
certainly,
your head needs its own knowledge that
right,
it has
certainly.
built up. So I just want to
Well,
caveat that.
and that's a
Because
great callback
yeah,
because I kind of popped you earlier on.
yeah,
It's been trained on knowledge.
yeah,
We humans need to be trained on knowledge. That's one of the
yes,
reasons why you remember 5, 8, 10 years ago, everyone was like, oh my God, YouTube is going to replace college because I can just learn anything I want on YouTube. No, you can't, because you learn slivers.
yes,
So like you learn how to do this one thing in this one program, but the person who made that video assumes you know everything else.
yes,
And so you don't actually learn how to use the program.
You have to actually do a 101 course, like,
Right.
and you have got to actually consume the content and lay it
Yes.
down in your own head. Do not think
Yes.
that you can outsource your knowledge to AI and build up a valid head. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yes.
if you're a college kid watching this, stop using AI for your research and read your freaking college books. This is the
Well,
time of your life when
yeah.
you're
What I
supposed to be
meant by
doing
that
that.
is, yes, I'm reading this book, but I also need to research this topic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, read
sure,
the book that you're assigned,
sure.
but you can use AI to go
Yeah,
out and
yeah,
just quickly pull the information from other
100%. But,
sources for you to do.
you know, the point I'm trying to make is college is the one time of your life where you have time set aside just to consume knowledge.
Yes.
Use your time wisely and
Yes.
consume that knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the one thing. But and the other caveat I'll put in with research is something our peanut gallery brought up.
Hmm.
AI hallucinates. These LLMs, if they don't know the answer, they
So I
will.
hate that term. I hate that term because it's not actually hallucinating, because that would imply that it understands what it's saying.
Yeah, but
It's
okay. So what we mean by hallucinate is we mean that it finds the
it
wrong
makes
fact.
up
So
shit.
it makes up. But it's the problem is again, like it goes back to that. So when I spoke about computer languages, right? R is this really niche language that statisticians love. Okay. It is amazing for statisticians. It sucks for everybody else. Nobody wants to work in R unless they're a statistician. So, as a result, R is a very poorly documented language. There is very little content on it that is open source. Most of it's in books that you have to pay for. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that if you ask an LLM any question about R, it inevitably gives you the wrong answer because the only content it has is people helplessly on the internet saying, I don't know what to do with,
Right.
with this language. So it just
Well,
makes stuff up that's just wrong. And that,
right.
that is something you need to be aware of. So when you're researching, make it spit out the links it's using
Yes.
and
Yes.
then follow those links and verify.
Yes.
Like,
Especially for the really important stuff.
yes,
Um, I'll let it go. Like at the beginning of this thing, I'm writing what the costumes might look like or whatever, and I'm like, 15th dynasty, sometime around the 16th century BC Egypt. Did they use copper daggers or did they use bronze daggers? Like, I don't know,
and it's not
but
that important. So,
it's not that important. But I can ask it. It gave me an answer. I use that.
yeah.
I'm not going to worry about, first of all, it's not my job as the script writer. That's the prop master's job to go figure out what's actually there. But here you go. Here's
Yeah,
what I think it is.
yeah,
Your mileage may vary. But yeah, so you do have to verify it. But I want to stay on the subject of hallucinating for a minute. So there's a couple things about large language models. First of all, their only goal is to give an answer. They can't say, I'm sorry, I don't know that.
yeah,
They don't have that in their coding. They don't have that ability to say, I don't know that. So their number one goal is to give you an answer. It doesn't understand anything. That's the reason why it says everything with confidence.
yes,
So it's not hallucinating. It's not lying to you. It it needs to give you an answer. It has a box of random symbols that means nothing to it. Nothing that you say lines up with any symbols that are more than likely going to be the most. But remember, it's math.
yeah.
So they're going to go down the math chain and go, these symbols right here are definitely what you're looking for, 100%. And you're like, no, no, those are not anything that I'm looking for. Like, you made that up. No, it didn't make it up. Because again, to say it made it up
Yeah,
would be to give it intelligence,
yeah.
because you have to have intelligence to lie.
The algorithm basically defaulted to combining what it has, and what it has is incorrect. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right. But again,
Um,
it can't tell the difference between symbols that are correct and symbols that are incorrect. So it's just giving you symbols. So why wouldn't it be confident and going, this is definitely the symbols that you want?
yeah.
Which is why it says everything with 100% confidence, because
So
it
any
doesn't know what they are.
Yeah. So anything that you are researching that is very obscure, always verify. And
Mhm.
anything that you're researching that is important, like it's really critical for you, this detail is critical to understand, follow the links to the
Yep.
source sites, go read it yourself.
And that's the
Because,
beautiful thing is it will give you links.
yeah.
Like here's the crazy thing, because I've gotten into gardening this year,
Mm.
which is crazy since I live in the middle of a 115-degree desert. But we're making it. I mean, my garden is now in my living room.
Yeah.
So, that's the secret to gardening in Las Vegas, air conditioning. Because my plants are doing great. I have no living room anymore, but my plants are doing great. But there is a crap ton of information on home gardening. And the more information that it has, the more the less that negative, the bad symbols are going to work in there. So
Right.
because again, there's still stupid people out there writing stupid stuff on how to garden that's absolutely the wrong information and wrong advice and whatever.
Mm.
And it can't tell the difference between that and actual information. But there's less of that. There's more actual good information. And there's tons of people, like there are probably 350,000 websites that tell you how to grow tomato plants. And they all basically say the exact same thing. So when you have that much data on it, it has a ton of information and a ton of symbols
Mm.
that matches up with what you ask, and it can give you that. And it's probably really good information because it's just parsing out the information that it has.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the biggest thing that you have to think about, is that you do have to verify anything that is information that must be accurate.
Yeah.
So like this computer that I'm sitting at is a beast of a computer.
Mm.
Um, so funny because I built it 5 years ago, and one of my friends just built a new beast gaming system, and this computer is still better than his brand new one as far as I mean, I put a
Yeah.
stupid amount of money into this because I was doing animation at the time, and I thought I was going to do animation a lot more, but then there was cancer and everything else, and I haven't done any animation since then. So I've got a real massive word processor now. But I built this computer with AI, and I built it
Yeah.
in about 3 hours as far as ordering the parts and everything like that. So, but it was great because do you know how much information is out there on the different motherboards and how they rate to against each other and what processors go with them and what RAM goes with them and what every single little piece of chip means on a motherboard and why you should look at this one versus that one. And there is so much information out there on the internet for it. And so using it to do something like that or the gardening that I'm doing, it is a godsend for just
Mm.
instantly getting information that is probably 99.9% accurate
Yeah.
because there's just so much information. But like you were saying, R, I think you said, is a programming
Yes.
language.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with those niche things, that's why with the Bible stuff, there's
Mm.
so much information on biblical stuff.
Yeah.
It's got a ton of information, and the chances of it giving me bad information. So again, I hate the term hallucinating because it's not. It's just it doesn't have enough symbols, and so it just goes, well, here's the symbols, and I don't know anything about them because they're symbols, so they're obviously right.
Yeah.
So we call that hallucinating, but that's again, all of these terms I hate because they all give it credit that it doesn't deserve. It can't hallucinate because it has no intelligence. It can't lie because it has no intelligence. It literally is just using math to grab symbols that it doesn't understand and give it to you and say, these are definitely the symbols that you need.
So
A
somebody in
hundred
the peanut
percent.
somebody in the peanut gallery is a statistician or an economist. Because somebody in the statistician is like, R is amazing. um, I would get into an argument, but that would take us completely off topic. No, R actually is really good at what it does. It's just
So
what it does is
research.
very unique. Um,
So research. Any research you have to do on anything, even if it's like, hey, I wrote this document on how I want my character's personality to be, and here's a scene that I wrote with that character. What about it that I wrote doesn't match up with what I want it to be? Because technically that's a type of research. Because again, it's using that degenerative side of its brain, and it's going, oh, well, this line is out of character, or that line is out
Mm.
of character, or whatever.
It's
And
also it's also quite good at if you pop a scene in and you go identify the themes of the scene.
to an extent,
Yeah.
it is when it comes to factual themes. We'll get
Mm.
into that. Let's get into
Yeah.
that when we get into writing. Because yes, you're not wrong, but it's not as good as we would think it would be.
It's not as well. See, the thing is, like, and this is important, it's not as good as a human beta reader. Okay.
Hmm.
It's not going to replace your human beta reader,
It's not
but
going to replace humans at all.
no, but it can help you refine your alpha draft a little further to understand, like, because if you have put a theme on the paper and it doesn't pick up on that theme at all, or you think you've put a theme on the paper
Right.
and it doesn't pick up on that theme at all, doesn't even like come close to
Yeah.
highlighting it, then you
Yeah.
probably haven't done enough in the theme.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only thing you have to worry about is, again, this goes back to its programming core, which
Mm,
is I must give you an answer. And it's also programmed, it's not just programmed to give you an answer, it's also programmed to give you an answer that that you want. It's
mm.
constantly trying to please you. And I hate using that term because that means it's thinking, and it's not, but that is the coders behind it are all like, oh, everybody has to get a frou-frou, happy-go-lucky answer. So it's trying to, it's not just trying to answer you, it's trying to answer you in a way that it thinks you want the answer, which is very different than, the actual answer. Again, we'll get into that when we get into writing.
All
I
right, so
mean,
I think we've run
yeah, I
research
was
to
gonna say
ground.
research
Yeah,
is pretty much it's pretty obvious. It can
yeah.
look up things, it can parse information, it can go through all sorts of stuff. Let's get into plotting because
Yeah.
that's probably the number one thing that I use it for more than anything is as a plotting sounding board.
Mm.
Are you using it for plotting? I can't remember.
Sometimes, yeah. So I like to use it as like a sounding board.
Yeah,
So I will say I have this idea, you know, and then like it'll spout things at me and say like, "Can I do this for you? Can I draft?" And I'm like, "No, shut up and listen to me. I don't need you to talk right now. I need you to listen." Because it wants to like be helpful, as you say. Like it's the
yes,
coding is all about like getting you to use it more.
yeah.
But all I
You go, I
actually
got that. You say, I got this idea. What do you think about it? Oh, that's a great idea. Here, I just wrote a story about it.
I don't
It's
want
like,
you to write a story, mate. I
yeah,
want you you know, like I want you to tell me where the holes are, where it, whatever. You're like that's the kind of thing. Like I want to be able to say like I feel like there isn't enough meat here.
yeah,
Like, help me work through the snarl of it. And I can and have used humans for this before. Like I have a friend that I phone, but people are busy. People have lives
yeah,
and AI is
yeah,
available 24/7. So it is nice to be able to do that, to refine my ideas and
yeah.
then call a human and
Well,
be
I'm
like, okay,
I'm
so I've
pretty
got this
sure
refined idea. you
I'm
know,
pretty sure that my best friend does not watch this podcast.
yeah.
Um, so if he does, he's probably not gonna be too happy. But before AI, his name's Charlie.
Hmm.
I talk to Charlie almost every single week,
Mm,
and he's an engineer. So he is not a storyteller, but he thinks so different than me because
mm,
engineers see the world in a very different way than an artist sees the world. So we are on polar opposites of how we see things. However, he is very creative. He, grew up playing D&D. He was my DM forever and super smart dude. And so for years, for decades, we would meet at least once a week and I'd say, okay, here's what I'm having a problem with. So here's my situation, here's what I'm trying to do. And he'd go, oh, here's 20 ideas. And I go,
mm,
okay, none of those really help me because you're not thinking like a storyteller. And he's like, okay, well, here's 20 more ideas, and here's 20 more ideas. And
yeah.
he was basically like an AI before AI existed. And while rarely he gave me something that I went, oh my goodness, yes, I'm using that. What he always gave me was something that gave me the idea to fix my problem. And that is priceless because who knows if my brain would have ever clicked on that solution had whatever he said been said. And so now I use AI for that for the most part.
Mm,
Again, it doesn't give me anything that I go, oh, that is brilliant. I'm using that. But inevitably, it will say something that makes me go, I got it. And it
yes.
takes me down a
It
path.
it's the rubber ducky thing,
It
except that
is the rubber ducky thing.
it, except that the rubber ducky actually like, you know,
Talks
um
back.
yeah, talks back to you and which is more helpful than a standard rubber ducky. But it's
But
just a rubber ducky.
well, but it's so funny because when you were doing the rubber ducky story, you said 9 out of 10 times the rubber ducky will give you your answer.
Yeah.
That is the way I found with AI. 9 out of 10 times, I will eventually stumble upon my answer.
Yeah.
There's been 2 times working on this movie script that I worked with AI for hours
Yeah.
trying to figure something out. And so we're talking about answers coming
Mm.
instantly, and I'm there for hours. So just a proverbial pile of answers, and none of them gave me anything. So I actually called up Charlie and I was like, hey, can I make an appointment with you for tomorrow? When are you free for a couple hours? And within 30 minutes of us sitting down, I had it. Now, again, he didn't say anything that gave me the answer, but he definitely said something that made my brain go click,
Shook the
answer.
right thing loose. Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to do it this weekend. So this weekend, I also had a scene in this movie that I just couldn't figure out a good scene because, I needed a bridge scene. I have this part of the movie. I have this part of the movie. Why does the movie go from there to here? I just need one scene, and I know I only need one scene, but I can't figure out what that stupid scene is. And I worked with AI again. I said earlier, I got
Mm.
frustrated with it. I worked for it for so long, and I finally was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I was like, screw it, I'm done. And I just rage quit because AI had made me say, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call Charlie tomorrow, and we'll fix it. Now, while I was eating breakfast the next morning, of course, I'm still thinking about it, and the solution popped into my head.
Yeah.
But I would have called Charlie and sat down with him, and I would have done the exact same thing with Charlie that I was doing with the AI.
Yeah.
There's no difference in what I'm doing because that's what we need. What writers need is that rubber ducky. I've never heard that story before, so I'm glad you told that because that is literally what we need. We need the rubber ducky. So for plotting, that's what AI can become. It becomes that rubber ducky that just starts throwing ideas at you, but you have to make the decision. And
Yeah.
actually, I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about the overview stuff. The thing that I've found is that the better the user, the better the AI will be able to assist them.
Yes.
In other words, the more you know about writing, the more AI can help you as a writer. The easiest way to think about that is I'm a graphic designer. I use Photoshop constantly. I can do some amazing things in there. But a lot of the Magic the Gathering artists use Photoshop to draw their magic cards.
Yeah.
So, like, Jason Engel and Steve Argyle, both friends of mine, and I know both of them use Photoshop. I don't even know how Photoshop can do what they do. Like, how do you make a ultra realistic dragon fighting an elf, in the middle of a dungeon solely from Photoshop? It's not even a
Wow.
drawing program.
Yeah, but
And
they
yet
they
they
do
can do it.
draw, you know.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They know I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer. I can take elements and put them together and make them look
Mm.
really cool. And I do some cartoon little art,
Mm.
stuff like that. Matter of fact, if you haven't been to my website, starvingwriterstudio.com, there's some really funny t-shirts and mouse pads and stuff like that of cartoons that I drew. So you should go check it out. But anyway, they are better artists.
Yeah.
So they can get more out of Photoshop than I can.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned about AI. So, and I fell for this. The stupid thing is that I'm human, and it pisses me off because I fall for the same BS that everyone else falls for. Because just last month, I went, you know what? I'm gonna make a video game because I can do the art. I can do the, the stuff that it can teach me Unity and all of that. And then it can write the code for me because it's a brilliant coder. And so I sat down and I started working on it, and I made this really cool little battle program where you were this little Japanese schoolgirl fighting a monster, and you would kick, and the monster would try to hit you with a club, and one of you would die. That's the only thing it is. You don't do anything else. You just start off there, you move to each other. If you run away, it'll follow you. Like, you move together, you fight, one of you dies eventually. So it does all the math, it does all that. It did all the coding for me. It was great. And I was like, super easy. And then I tried to do something just a little bit more complex than that. And since I don't know coding, I don't know when it veers off and doesn't give me what I need. Now, I'm still going to make that video game. It's just that now one of my good friends is a high-end programmer, and me and him are going to do it maybe in a month or two. So, I I I fell
Like
into the
it,
trap of, I can use AI to do something that I don't know how to do. You
you
can't.
can't. You can't.
You
You can
can't.
use AI to make you more productive in something that you are already skilled at. Right?
Yes.
I can use AI to make my coding faster because I am
Yes.
really good at what I do. So
Right.
when it spits out an abundantly incorrect answer, I'm like, oh boy,
Or
never
Well,
mind.
but here's the thing. Well, but here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily put out incorrect code. Like,
Yeah,
everything that it did worked. It just doesn't have any ability to think. So it doesn't go,
yeah,
but the project that you're doing is this thing. So what you really need is this.
yes,
It just goes, you now want to create the math for the orc to chase the player? Great. Here's the code for that. It
yeah.
doesn't link to anything. It doesn't go to
No,
anything because it has no ability
because
to
it can't do that.
actually.
Yeah,
Right. So while I was able to make that little battle arena of mine, and it works, and you move around and click, and it's turn-based, and it's, grid locked, and all of everything that I wanted, because I want to make
yeah.
a 2D dungeon crawler game. It When I try to do anything beyond that, I don't know programming enough for it to help
Yeah,
me.
I'll also tell you for free that it writes very bloated code.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure.
yeah. But yeah, it's like I say, like it is a really good productivity tool, and if you use it for a productivity tool, it does good things for you.
Hmm.
It's a great rubber ducky. It's great for bouncing ideas off, just like ignore it when it goes like, "Can I write the story for you?" No, you can't. I want to bounce ideas off you, dumbass.
Right.
Like,
Right. So
um,
plotting is
yeah,
an amazing tool for, again, just, you can, in seconds, you can
yeah,
have 10 ideas, you can give it a topic, you can have 10 ideas, and if one of those doesn't spur something in your mind, in 10 seconds you can get 10 more ideas, and in
yeah,
10 seconds you can get 10 more ideas. And here's the biggest reason why I now use AI more than I use Charlie, because Charlie's a human. And so he'll go, "Hey, here's an idea that I really love." And I go, "Oh, that's really cool, but it doesn't work for my story because it breaks this, 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 and this."
mm,
And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then 5 minutes later, he'll go, "Hey, remember that idea I came up with 5 minutes ago? Because I really like that idea. We should talk about that again." And I'm like, "No, it doesn't work because it breaks this, this, and this, or it brings a thematic element in that I don't want to deal with, or whatever. All the things that I think about as a storyteller that he doesn't think about as an engineer." And then we'll keep working, and 5 minutes later, go, "Idea I came up with the beginning of this," and I'm like, "Oh, AI does not do that."
yeah.
AI doesn't remember what it did 5 seconds ago, so it doesn't have any connection to it.
The other thing that is also really nice about it, as I said, is like it's available whenever you are,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is nice.
And writers tend to write at
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
times.
None of my friends will love me if I phone them at 1 in the morning and I'm like, listen, I need 5 ideas for a bridging scene. I'm not going to use any of your ideas.
I'm
I just
actually,
need you to
everything you say is going to be
throw
dumb.
5 random ideas at me so that you can spark an idea in my head.
Yeah, yeah. Most friends tend to frown on
Yeah.
that. But, and I will say that mine and Charlie's friendship has probably gotten a little better with me not screaming at him to stop giving me the same stupid idea over again. Because when I scream at AI, it doesn't care
No,
because it has no feelings.
exactly.
Um, so that's plotting. It's a great idea for brainstorming. Do you have anything else to add on plotting?
No, I think as long
But
as you don't
again,
depend on it for like,
if
again,
you
rubber
right,
duck.
if you think it's going to write your plot for you, then you shouldn't be a writer because
And
it's not going to. It's going to write
yeah,
a derivative of plots.
yes,
That's the
a
other thing
horrible
is,
derivative.
well, the funny thing is this applies. So for 25 years, as I've been teaching writing, I teach writers, hey, whatever idea you come up with first to fix a solution, don't use that idea because that's the
Mm,
same idea that 80% of humanity is going to come up with.
yeah.
Dig deeper, set it aside. Maybe you come back to it, but I guarantee you, if you don't settle on that first idea, you will come up with a better idea. AI only comes up with the first idea. That's all
Yeah.
it ever can do is the first idea, the thing that 80% of humanity is going to come up with. So if you have it write a story for you, it's going to be a story that 80% of humanity would have written. There's nothing unique in it. It's all first ideas. So you use it to get you to think about things differently, to spark ideas in your mind, to help you with your plot, to make your story better. So that, I mean, there's a reason why I love a lot of my reviews because it's like, I don't even know how we get there. When
Mm,
I read Drake, it's like, how the hell did I get here?
mm,
Because again, they hit that chapter and they have no idea how I'm going to fix it because
mm.
I spent, a month trying to figure out how to do that chapter that they're going to read in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So they think I'm brilliant because they think that I wrote it that fast. They think I wrote it in 30 minutes, not
Yeah.
in 30 days.
Months. Yeah.
So that's it's the same thing. It's not about using the ideas it's going to give you. It's about using it to help you think about things differently and fix the problems that you have by
Yeah.
having somebody to bounce ideas off of. Let's
Yeah.
get into your neck of the woods, world building. Are
Mm.
you using it to help you with world building?
So it is really good to find historical stuff. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
if you look,
research.
yeah, research. It is also quite good at let's speculate. What
Hmm.
if we had blah, blah, blah magic during the Neolithic? And then you can start like building different timelines and like what would change. Because it's got a lot of historical knowledge and you can
Hmm.
add your magic into it and be like, this is the impact. This is what my magic enables people to do. What speeds up, what slows down, and it's really good at that kind of like construction. Um, I don't use it for completely fantastical stuff. So I was discussing world building with a friend of mine today, and he was telling me about a world that he wants to build or that he has built of like a planet that's been magically exploded from the inside and has got like drifting spheres, right? Of like biospheres, and the water flows from one to and then water falls down in between these exploded spheres, and it's like a incredibly out there fantastical world. Never in a million years will AI come up with an idea like that. You know what I mean? Like that is not within its purview.
I mean, but that's not unique, so I think it could come up with that.
Maybe, maybe.
Because I mean, even like my Concord of the Forgotten World thing that I'll
Yeah.
write eventually, that is a lot close to that. I have
Mm,
plane shards and all this stuff, and
mm,
it is a planet that was exploded magically because the gods blew it up.
yeah.
Um, so and it's the first time you told me your friend's idea, so I didn't.
Yeah.
You can tell your friend I didn't steal that from him.
No, no.
I mean, it can come up with stuff because of the fact that there is not a lot of truly unique big ideas. It's how you mix them. Like I don't have
Yeah.
waterfalls.
Yeah.
My plane shards, you have to use magic to get back and forth from.
Yeah.
So, when you get into the details, that's where you start mixing things differently
Yeah.
and everything like that. But it can look, I mean, it has access to everything that we've created. And so therefore it can it can mathematically find something that's only been used a few times.
Mm.
It can't mathematically find something that has never been done.
Yeah.
That's what it can't do. So here's what I use it a lot for. So everything that I write are pretty big. So I have a wiki server that runs on
Mm.
my home server, and I can give it a paragraph and it will write an entire wiki page for me. And then I can edit that wiki page to make sure it has what I want in it. And so I can write a 2,000 word wiki page in 15 minutes, maybe
Mm.
20 minutes, where it would have taken me an hour to write that if I had long-handed it. And
Oh,
since it's
oh,
just notes for me,
yeah.
it's not that big of a deal that I didn't write it because it has the ideas that I need in it because I made
Mm.
sure those were in it.
I'll tell you what
So
it
I'd use
also
it for that a lot.
I'll tell you what it's also quite good at is like half-baked notes. So
Yeah.
like I have a OneNote document where I toss like, half sentences and scribbled notes, and sometimes I'm out somewhere and I just, make a voice note or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
all like a complete mess of content. And I will take pages of that and be like, synthesize this,
Yeah.
understand it, and make this make sense. And then
And
obviously
that's
then
using its degenerative side
yeah,
more than its generative
yeah.
side.
And then I need to obviously like edit it and so on because
Right.
quite often it'll, add
Oh, yeah.
stuff that it thinks and whatever, whatever. But but it is quite good at that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good at but it's the thing is the thing that's good at is no different than what I was doing before. So
mm,
we talked about the plotting. We were already doing that with human beings. What's
mm,
the difference that we're doing it with this AI? It's the same thing. I used to use several programs online that were like fantasy name generators for like role-playing games and stuff like that.
mm,
And then I rarely used the name that it generated, but I would get a pattern of a name or something that looked
yeah.
cool or sounded cool, whatever, and then I'd kind of generate my saying. Now, instead of having to go to that website and use the website and do all this stuff, I can just go, give me 10 fantasy names that basically do this.
Mm,
Or, with this biblical thing, give me 5 male names for somebody who would be a lower class citizen in Egypt in 1500 BC.
mm.
Like, I don't know what, like,
Yeah.
but then I can just look at them and go, oh, I kind of like that name, or that name gives me an idea to do this other thing.
Yeah.
As long as it sounds Egyptian to me and ancient, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste hours trying to figure out names.
Yeah.
So it's really good at that, and I do consider name generation a part of world building. I wrote a scene yesterday in it where this guy, I was like, did they have like cafes or outdoor restaurants or something like that in, you know, Avaris in 1582 BC? And it was like, no, what they actually had was they had beer cellars, and it would look like this and it would be like this, and this is what the historical records say. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I wrote this scene where it's basically a guy sitting down at a cafe, but he's sitting down at a bench at a beer
Mm,
cellar. And they've got a pitcher of water and a pitcher of wine, and they've got some fig cakes, and they've got some other stuff. And it's all, nice and authentic sounding. But I did that research in minutes as
yeah.
opposed to like, how long would it take you to hit Google and figure out where there are outdoor cafes in Avaris 1582 BC, northern Egypt?
It wouldn't take me any time, but that's because that's a period of time that I've read a lot about. So
Uh,
I would have been able
I
to
have
answer
not.
that question for you.
I have not read a lot on that. It would take me a lot of time to Google it because the first thing I have to parse through is, oh, you want tickets to fly to Egypt? Here you go. Here's the prices. Oh, you would like to buy some Egypt clothing? Here you go. Here's some prices. And it's like, no, I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
100%. But yeah, so it is useful for world building. Just, same caveats apply. Don't use it to like build your world. Use it to idea generate, use it for research, use it for name generation, that kind of thing. But if you use it to build your world's just going to end up being very derivative.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 100%. Use it to help you generate unique ideas in your human brain because it doesn't have a human brain.
yeah.
All right, last two things. This one should be quick, and then we'll spend the rest of our time on the last one. Grammar.
Mm. So it depends on which. So I use Pro Writing Aid, which has got a fairly solid grammar, application to it.
I
I
will
still have a
disagree with that,
human,
but
yeah, I still have a human editor because,
right. I
there's,
actually don't like Pro Writing Aid. I don't think it does well. And it's
mm,
because we're so creative with our sentences, it has a hard time keeping up. It's the same thing of it's not it is better, but it's not that much better than just words grammar.
mm,
So Word will say, put a comma here. There's no comma that goes there. Or it'll
mm,
say, take this comma. I was like, no, that gets a comma. Grammarly, or both Grammarly and Pro
mm,
Writing Aid are better than that. They are. I'm not saying they're
yeah,
not. Word is very rudimentary when it comes to its grammar checking stuff, but it still misses things. And since I have the skill level that I have, it's annoying to me to have a program that I should rely on that can't do what I do.
mm,
And so that's why I have a problem. I mean, for most people, they can't keep up with me when it comes to grammar.
mm,
The average person. I mean, I've spent 30 years doing nothing but this one thing. I suck at everything else in the world, but I'm fairly decent at what I do. For most people, pro writing aid is going to be a step up for them. So
yeah,
I'm not saying not.
yeah. So yeah, for me, for example, like with English being my second language, Pro Writing Aid is a great first pass.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I have a human editor because um, everybody needs an
And
editor.
and I will say I used pro writing aid, eight it came out about 8 years ago or
Yeah.
so. Back then I wasn't quite as at the level that I am with grammar, and so I did use it, but within a year or two,
Mm,
I outpaced it,
yeah.
and so it became I don't use it anymore at all. But in the beginning, yes, it actually did
Mm,
find things that I
mm,
didn't see or I didn't know at the
yeah.
time. So yeah, it's definitely a
Yeah.
great tool as you grow as a writer.
Yeah. It's a handy speed up again for
Hmm.
for like
Hmm.
especially if English is your second language and you're confused by commas, like it helps to
Yeah, that
have that little bit of extra guidance because
yeah.
commas are
if if
horrifying in
if
the English
if
language.
English is your only and primary language, you're still confused by comma. Like, there's no such thing as not being confused by commas.
So
So
yeah. So I mean pro writing aid and Grammarly, I guess. I prefer pro writing aid. Not We're not sponsored by them or anything. I just prefer them
no,
because it's not as heavy as Grammarly. Grammarly
right,
wants to take over your whole machine and like,
right,
you know, just
right.
yeah. So
But what about AI for grammar? Are you using it at all for that?
I mean those things do use AI. I don't use like ChatGTP or anything like that for grammar because I don't find it useful in that aspect. Um, it does not, in my opinion, understand the text well enough. That's my opinion.
So it's not an editor for me, but I do use it. I do give it things and have it correct spelling or missed words. The thing that I find that AI is better at than Pro Writing Aid or any of those is because I'm dyslexic, I can't tell the difference. I mean, homonyms are my
Mm,
nemesis. And so I will use a word that's spelled correctly. So word is like, yeah, you got it right, dude. You're good. But it's actually the wrong word. And so it is actually good at helping me
yeah.
catch and flag those when I've used them wrong, or little things. I still spell judgment in the British way, which is with an E between
Mm,
judge and meant, but technically in the American English it doesn't get that E. So it's good at that. I misspell clinch every single time. So it's good at helping me catch stuff like that. So there's some things that I
mm,
use it for in those lights. It is actually really good at on the fly stuff. So in my writers group, I do have one AI that's set up where I can just drop a line in and it will check commas. It will
mm.
say, yes, you need a comma here. Here's why you don't need a comma here. Now, about every 10th or 12th time that I put it in there, I have to tell it, stop changing it to an M dash because it'll go, oh, no, no, you need an M dash here. No, I don't. Stop doing that. And they're like, oh, right, you told me not to use M dashes. Yes. And then it'll be fine for about 10 or 12 sentences. And then it'll be like, you need an M dash here. No, you don't. So, but it is trained other than that to, kind of double check that because you're in a writer's group, we're reading on
Mm.
the fly. I'm pretty sure it needs a comma, but I just want to make sure. And so, it's just one of those things that, because we do, creative is the first word in creative writing. So we get pretty creative in some of our sentence structures.
Yeah.
And some of them become very hard of, wait, does this get a comma? Does it not get a comma? And so
Mm.
it is usually pretty good at helping with little things like that. So I do use it a lot for that, for the grammar side. And again, just that first pass, that first editing pass, one of the things that if you're going to use it for that, that I have found works better for me is I have it trained, here, read this, 1,500 words or whatever. If you see any typos or misused words, give me 3 or 4 words exactly as written in the manuscript, and then the rewritten version of those 3 or 4 words. And then I don't have it rewrite the whole thing. I just have it pull out the things that it thinks that are wrong, and I can go through it really quickly and go, oh yeah, that is wrong, or no, you're wrong.
So the reason why I quite like Pro Writing Aid is because it does that same thing with like, are you sure you're using the right word here and so on with that? Because
Right,
I'm also not that great with homonyms, but it does it in the Word document for me.
right,
Which I find useful. So, but yeah, those are the kinds of things that I think are useful in
yeah,
terms of like grammar editing, is just picking up your homonyms, like things you wouldn't easily pick up by yourself just by reading the
right,
text out loud, which you should still
right.
do because, this.
Yes,
um,
100%.
but yeah, it is good at catching base grammar mistakes.
Yeah, I
Again,
I agree with that. Um,
speeds up the process a little bit.
yes. So this brings to the last thing because we are running long.
Yeah,
Um, and this is probably going to be a 15-minute discussion at least. But I think this is the most important part, which is, do you use it for in your writing, or how do you use it in your writing? And neither one of us use it to write anything,
no. Um,
but
I don't use it to write at all. I The problem with using it to write is it does two things. One, it writes in a kind of generic authorial voice, which means your authorial voice is gone.
right.
It's been replaced by whatever the hell the AI is using as an authorial
Yep.
voice. And that does two pieces of damage. One, it means that what makes you unique as a writer, which is your authorial voice, is no longer on the page.
Yeah.
And two, the um, the book's going to be inconsistent because it will not maintain a consistent authorial voice.
I mean, it's just a very vanilla, middle of the road. All of its sentences are very safe. All
Yeah.
of its it. So here's the thing that I think is funny. When I do give it my stuff to critique, not to
Mm.
like show me a couple
Yeah.
typos, but like critique this. It actually really does like my writing. It feels like I'm very immersive and I've done tests. I know it always gives you the
Yeah.
answer that you want. I've got
Yeah.
I've got a way to get it to where it's actually giving me a little bit more accurate information. But the one thing it always says is I overwrite. And
Mm.
every single thing that it wants to pull out, it says, look, you can pull this whole thing out and this whole paragraph and
Mm.
these 3 sentences. Every single one of them are the human soul of the story.
Yeah.
They're the thing that actually connects the reader emotionally to the piece.
Yeah.
That's what it's trying to strip out of my writing every single time. That should tell you something. It thinks that that emotional layer that's going to connect your readers emotionally to the story is wrong, which is
Yeah.
why it's not in there. But again, that's the danger part of writing. That's the part where you're pushing the bounds, you're making the readers uncomfortable, you're making them have to think about things. It wants to be very generic. It wants to be very safe, wants to be very middle of the road and never push anyone.
Yeah.
And so if you allow it to write for you, that's the type of writing you're going to get. You're going to
Yeah.
get safe, generic, vanilla writing.
So that is, yeah. So that is why I don't let it write for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because one, it destroys your authorial voice, and two,
Yeah.
it doesn't keep a consistent tone.
Right.
What it is good at is, and what I do use it for is, I will say, here is a chapter. Identify growth arc themes, whatever, like pull these things out for me. And then I will check that against what I wanted this chapter to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And if what I wanted the chapter to achieve is not in its output, then I'm like, okay, I haven't done enough here that even the machine can, not even the machine can pick it up. So
Right.
clearly, I've missed the point. And
Right.
sometimes it'll pull out themes that I did not intend to put there. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, hold on. I need to figure out how these themes snuck into the door, because that
Right.
wasn't what I meant to put on the page at all.
Yep.
And again, like, it is not a replacement for a human. Like, I have, plenty people humans who read my stories after that.
Yes.
This is a first pass, like, is this thing doing the job I want it to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, what we just get down to is why I'm not afraid of AI taking over my job,
Mm,
because I am happy with you flooding the market with a bunch of safe, generic, flat, non pushing stories. Because when a reader does hit my story, it's going to feel so different than anything that they've read that they're immediately going to become a huge fan of mine. So I'm not worried about AI taking my job because it can't do my job. It can do a facsimile of my job. It can do a a poor copy of my job. But do you want to watch grainy black and white TV, or do you want to watch 4K, surround sound 3D TV? Like,
yeah.
that's the difference between the two. But there are some things that I use it for to speed up my writing. So, like, one of the things that I use it for is getting ideas on how to rewrite a sentence. 20 years ago, if I had a sentence that had a word in it, a verb that I didn't like, or an ly adverb or whatever, I would pull out a thesaurus. I would
Mm,
spend 20, 30 minutes looking at lists of words. One of them would give me an idea on how I wanted to rewrite that sentence in my voice and in my style and in how I want to do it with emotion and everything else, and I would rewrite it. 10 years ago, I started using OneLook, which was an online thesaurus, and I would spend 10 minutes going to OneLook and looking at lists of words and getting an idea on how I'd like to fix the sentence in my voice and in my style with emotion and everything else.
mm,
Now I can do it in a minute and a half. I can feed the sentence to AI. It can give me a list of words that I look through to get an idea on how I would like to rewrite this sentence in my voice and in my style and in my emotions and everything else. I don't see a difference in those three things other than one took me 30 minutes, one took me 10 minutes, the other takes me a minute and a half.
mm,
I just don't see a difference. I'm still looking at lists of words to get an idea on how I would like to rewrite this sentence.
yeah.
But the time savings that it does for me is fantastic. So that's probably the number one way that I use it.
So I honestly, I don't use that. I still use OneLook. And
Yeah, see, I don't even have OneLook anymore. I used to have it open at all times on my computer.
yeah.
And
I
now I
I
don't. I can't tell you the
no,
last time I went to it.
I still use OneLook because I like, much as AI can spit out options for a sentence or whatever, OneLook will give me 30 words,
Hmm.
in a
Well, no,
nice list that I can scan over. You know.
that's what I get for AI. Like, I
Yeah.
don't like this verb combination. Give me other verbs that kind of do the same thing, and it'll give me a list of verbs.
No, I know. But it's just like, I like one word's interface,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
one look's interface. Like, I like.
I mean,
Also,
I recommended OneLook for years.
they've got some interesting, like, options where you've got like concepts, and you can click on the concept and it brings up a little mind map, and you can kind of crawl through
Hmm.
there. Like, sometimes I'm looking to actually just work my head,
Yeah.
rather than just get options. So I still use OneLook for that mostly. What I use AI for is mostly for, like I say, like, is this chapter doing what I
Hmm.
expected it to do? Um, is this, like, does this make, is there gaps here? Are the transitions good? From
See, I don't
one
use it for any of
from one
that.
flow to the next, like that kind of like, just to make sure that I've got that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and every writer, every one of us have strengths and weaknesses.
Mm.
Whatever you are, you have strength and you have weaknesses, and they're different than my strengths and my weaknesses, and they're different from Marie's strengths and Marie's
Yeah.
weaknesses. So when you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses, especially, and you're
Mm.
honest with yourself about your weaknesses, AI can be a really good tool to help you start filling in the gap of that weakness. It won't fill it in for you because again, it can't make any decisions because it has no intelligence whatsoever. It's symbols to it, but it can definitely give you a bunch of information that you can use to generate ideas in your human brain that will help you fill in those gaps of
Yeah.
your knowledge. So, but all of these combined, being able to research faster, being able to have somebody to
Mm.
bounce plotting ideas off of, helping with world building ideas, doing rudimentary grammar and stuff like that, and also generating lists of words or thinking about things differently. All of these combined is why AI has doubled, if not tripled, my productivity
Mm.
because all of this stuff I would normally have to do in a different way.
Yeah.
I would still be using a tool. I would be using Google to do research. I'd be using Charlie to plot. I'd be using Charlie to world build too. I'd be using Pro Writing Aid or Word
Mm.
or Grammarly for grammar. I would be using OneLook for, lists of words on ideas on how to rewrite a sentence. I just now have a tool that first works faster than all of those
Yeah.
individually and is in one spot. I can just have it right here and I can do it. So I think if you really understand once you get over the sci-fi hump that it can do a bunch of stuff for me because it's intelligent and makes decisions and is creative, once you get past that stupidity and you realize that it is literally just a supercharged Google search engine,
Mm.
you can really start honing in on what it actually is good at, and you
Yeah.
can use those tools to really improve your productivity as a storyteller.
I will say that I do have a hesitation about, which is why I also still use things like OneLook and so on. Unless the saving in time is really massive, like when I'm pulling together a lot of research, and why I will still click through to the sites. The problem is AI needs human content.
Mm-hmm.
But if nobody clicks on the sites that need clicks in order to get paid, those sites are going to vanish.
That is a
And then we will no
fantastic point.
longer have content, right?
That is a
and
fantastic point.
and that like sites like OneLook is kind of what it needs in order to generate all these like lists of words. Like if we stop supporting all these sites,
That
then
is that is a very valid very
like
valid thing.
and like the thing is, I don't think the solution to that is to say you shouldn't use AI at all. And I don't even think the solution to that is to do what I do, which is click on the links, because I don't think ultimately we will be able to do that enough. But I think we need to do that until there is a new economic model, right? As much as we can, we need to still click on those links and give those people like their site some actual click love so that their advertisers pay and all the rest, like, all of the things that make the internet at all viable.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, like, I hate ads on a website, and yet I don't put up an ad blocker because unfortunately, I understand that the person who's written that content needs to get paid in some way, like,
Yep.
and hence I have to sit on through the ad. So, so, and I think a new economic model will grow where AI will pay people AI companies will pay people to produce content to feed the AI models. Like, I think that is the model we will eventually reach, right? Where they'll pay you to make your site available to AI to be scraped or something like that. And then your AI tool will have advertising revenue in it or something like that. But right now, right? AI is actually like okay, so I'm not hammering AI. I'm not like a huge activist or whatever, but AI needs so much power
Hmm.
to run and to train that it is it is actually impossible to make it profitable right now.
Yeah.
Chat OpenAI ran at a $5 billion loss in 2024. This year they plan to run at a $6 billion loss. That means that
You know,
now Altman
you know who's
claims, he claims that they will be profitable in 2029. I'm like, sure, show me your numbers, but he doesn't have numbers. It's all just
right.
lies, right? And 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 but by that time he will have racked up a debt in excess of $20 billion of investor money. I don't see how those guys are ever going to see a return on their investment. That company's never like it's never going to be that much money. You know what I mean? Like, and that's my one concern is I don't quite see the between the power requirements and the need for human content because it can't generate its own content. I don't yeah, it generates heat. It uses a lot of water. It is incredibly expensive to keep those data centers running.
Yeah, the only thing it did to me on a personal level is so
Yeah.
when I built this system, it has the highest end graphics video card on the market at the time, and I think I paid like $1,800 for it, which was a stupidly insane price.
Mm,
So when I upgraded to give my wife a new
yeah.
computer, now that she's working for me, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a new video card. Yeah, ones comparable to mine are now like 7 grand, and I'm like, I am not paying 7 grand for a video card. It's not happening. So I still have the same video card that I had
Yeah.
from five
Yeah,
years
but
ago, which is
so
still an
I mean
amazing video card.
yeah, but this is the problem with AI is that it is in like people don't realize how expensive it is to run, but it
Oh
is
yeah,
unbelievably expensive to run those servers, right? Because of the amount of data, because of the intensity of the computations. They need water, they overheat, they're causing massive heat problems. The amount of power they need is
the
obscene.
power is insane.
They're building a whole bunch of those things in Wisconsin. They're going to drive up the whole of Wisconsin's electricity bill, right? Because of the amount of power they're going to consume. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't use ChatGTP because of that. Like I get it, but it is I have societal concerns about this tool that need to be solved at a societal level that are unfortunately right now going completely unaddressed. You
Yeah,
like,
yeah, but
um,
those are. I mean, I make
yeah.
stuff up for a living, so now you're getting real world.
I
I'm
know.
just like,
I know.
and
No,
I
no,
get it.
no,
Those are
I know.
all those are
Yeah.
all serious things to think about. But my fantasy writing ass is not going to be the one that solves those problems for them. I live in a fantasy world. I write in a fantasy world. I never leave my house. Technically, I live in a fantasy world city of Las Vegas. The whole city is a fantasy. So, you know, I'm not I'm not here to be the even somebody who even thinks about what could possibly be the
Yeah.
solution for it. Like I said, my extent is you made my video card $7,000. I hate you. Like
Yeah.
that's
But
where
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
at.
there are, and to me the big problem, there's two big problems for me with AI, and the one is content. There has to be a financial model where content producers are recompensed by people viewing, by because otherwise people will stop producing content. and then AIs will stop
Well, I mean,
consuming
that's the same
content,
thing.
and then, you know, the
That's the
whole thing
exact same
begins.
argument that we've had for years with people who
Yeah,
pirate books and stuff like that. I'm like,
yeah,
well, if you don't ever pay me as a professional storyteller to tell stories, then I
yeah,
go get a job because I have to eat. I have to
yeah,
feed my family, which
yeah,
means I don't have time to produce a professional level story, which
yeah.
means you get fanfic.
Yeah, which is the problem, right? I mean, it's always the problem, and it's the same
Yeah.
with AI. There has to be some compensation for the actual human content creators who have generated. Like it is important that that model gets sorted out in
Yeah.
some way.
Oh, no, I
Um,
agree with you. I just,
and
that's
I
beyond
don't,
my
as I say,
abilities.
I don't know what the ultimate model will be. There will come a model for it, right? People will stop producing content. AI will have nothing but slop. Its usage will drop. The thing will find a cycle to sort that stuff out. The thing that I don't know if it'll be sorted out is what we're going to do with those data centers, because they are off the charts.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
yeah.
if you're out there and you don't understand my video card comment, so GPUs are the fastest processors. They can't do much though. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really designed to make your video look great. And if you're a high-end gamer, that matters. You know, if it's a video like this is all digital. But when you're in a video game, it's pixelated. It's got every single pixel has to be, have math attached to it. And you're talking billions of them. So it's really good at math. And again, going back to the beginning of this, that's what LLMs are, is math. So instead of running CPUs, which is what runs your computer, they run banks and banks and banks and banks and banks of just hundreds of video cards in line in one machine to do this stuff. And so GPUs run hotter, they take up more power, they do run faster, but they're very specialized in math. Whereas a CPU is broader and can run the computer and do,
Mm.
all sorts of different things. And so the reason why video cards have skyrocketed is because AI is buying them all up
The
because
the
they
one
need
yeah,
thousands per
the
computer.
one company that has made out like a bandit on AI is Nvidia.
Nvidia, Nvidia,
They have made
Nvidia's
out like a
raking
bandit
it
on
in.
this whole process.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, a big sliver of that $6 billion deficit is Nvidia's
straight
profit.
into Nvidia's pocket, 100%.
And it means that if I wanted to upgrade my video card, I have to pay $7,000 for it. So,
Yeah, no, no. The video cards are now unbelievably expensive for the
yeah,
high
the
end
high end,
kind.
the high end
Yeah,
stuff. I mean, you can get the lower end stuff still fairly cheap because
yeah,
they're not as good for the AI stuff.
yeah,
But, yeah. So we're not going to solve those problems, but
yeah. But
the genie is out of the.
I didn't want to do a video on AI and not talk about those concerns,
No,
because
no, that's
those
good.
concerns are valid, and I feel like one shouldn't just brush over them.
Oh,
Like,
no, no, it's one of the reasons why we make such a great team is because we do look at things. We have different things that matter to us.
mm,
So no, it's a good thing to go on. I don't want to end it on a negative doomsday note.
yeah,
Um, but what I was gonna say is Pandora's box is open. The genie is
mm,
out of the bottle. AI is here.
yeah,
And I mean AI as in LLMs.
yeah, yeah,
Again, not artificial intelligence because it's a math looking at random symbols that it has no idea what those symbols mean.
mm,
But once you really understand that from a job standpoint, well, when AI first came out, I was talking to my attorney. He's a good friend of mine. He started as a fan. And I said, "Well, aren't you terrified of this? Because, AI is just going to replace you." And this was years ago. And he said, AI is not going to replace lawyers. He
yeah,
did say lawyers who use AI are going to replace lawyers who don't. Because
mm,
because he was using AI and he's like, I can do 4 times the work that I could do
yeah,
yesterday. He's like, but if you honestly want to use AI to write a contract, I'll just say when you go to court, good luck.
yeah,
Because it doesn't understand law. It doesn't understand, it's a bunch of symbols. And while it looks at all those symbols and it says mathematically, this is the next word that should be in this contract, it doesn't actually know what that symbol means. So you can get into a
no,
huge amount of legal trouble if you're letting
exactly.
AI do that. But it's the same thing. Legal, The better you are at it, the better AI can help you. Coding, the better you are at, the better it can help you. So I want to end this by saying, yes, AI is here, but the better you learn the craft of writing, the better you are at storytelling, structure, theory, grammar, the whole 9 yards, the better you get at this, the better you're going to be able to use AI to help you with your job.
Yeah.
AI is not going to do your job for you. And if you think it does, good luck with that. That's all I can say. There's a lot of people that just churn out garbage as fast as they possibly can, and they can make some money off of it.
Yeah.
None of those people are famous. None of those people have massive fan bases. None of those people are actually talked about.
I will say there
I'm not
was 50 Shades of
I'm
freaking
not I'm not talking about the people who get lucky for certain reasons. I'm talking about the people that churn out like there are
but
people out there that are
to be fair to that woman, she wrote every single word herself on a BlackBerry. So,
yes. I'm talking about people that are churning out, 10, 12, 15 books a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
100%.
are making a living.
Yeah.
Some of these people are making $100,000, $120,000 a year.
Yeah.
But their books are averaging 2, 3, 3.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah.
They sell 3, 4, 5,000 copies, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, and they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And AI can help those people because they don't really have a great level of knowledge anyway. So if that's what you're looking for, AI can definitely help you do that. I say this all the time. AI can't write, although it writes better than probably 50% of the published books that are out there on the market right now, which just lets you know how I feel about 50% of the books that are published out there. But if you want to actually make a mark in the industry, if you want to have an author voice, if you want to differentiate yourself, if you want to put your personal touch on a story, if you want it to connect with the human spirit, if you want it to actually have impact on the reader, AI is never going to help you with that.
Mm.
Maybe it will in the future. I don't think so. I don't think in my lifetime it's going to get to that point, but I could definitely be wrong. I make stuff up for a living. I think that you need to push yourself as a writer, get as good as you can as a writer, and then just understand that AI is like Photoshop. And the better you are at the art, at the craft, the better Photoshop can help you out making amazing pieces of art. Same with AI. And so I think that's where the end of this discussion needs to be. It's still stories come from humans, and AI just isn't there yet to be able to do that. Maybe it's there tomorrow. Maybe it's not there for 100 years. I don't know, but it definitely isn't there today.
The AI apocalypse is not coming.
No.
And you will need skills to survive tomorrow. You need to build up
Yes.
your own skills and use the tool.
Yes. Absolutely. Or don't use the tool. I mean, again, it just makes you faster. You don't need it.
Yeah.
So
You
it's not
don't
going to
need it.
help you. It's not going to help you be a,
And that's also why I pushed back on your revolutionary thing, because I'm like, it's not that revolutionary, like
okay. All right. After we've talked about this for an hour and 15 minutes, I will give you that. Um, I just really like it because, coming off of cancer and losing so many years, now being able to produce
it's
2 to 3 to 4 times the amount of stuff means a lot to me because I'm in catch-up mode.
100%. I'm not saying it's, but compared to some of the things we have invented as human beings,
All right.
it's
All right.
Do you know how revolutionary it was to invent the plow and then to hitch a horse to it? Man, our whole civilization is built on that stuff.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It is a good tool, though. It's just not what people are advertising it as.
Yeah,
Don't
it's a
buy into
good
the
tool.
marketing hype.
Yeah, but it's not going to replace anyone. So,
At
and I
least that's
think
our
that
opinion.
it is. That's our opinion. And I think that is a good note on which to end this episode. And we will see you soon for another one.
Bye.
If you are ready to take your writing to the next level and work with a group of highly motivated, dedicated writers who are all working to not only improve their writing, but improve your writing, plus you get to work with me on a weekly basis, then I'll encourage you to check out writersroom.us. This is a website that I have created that I really wish I had 30 years ago. It's everything a writer needs to become a better writer. Not only do we do weekly critique sessions, both from other members as well as me, we have daily writing sessions, I do monthly classes, Q&As, we have activities, I do all sorts of learning exercises, such as I do a quarterly writing prompt contest, and just tons and tons and tons of things. So if you're ready to get serious about your writing and you want to actually finish that novel and have a chance of it being published, then I encourage you to head on over to the Writer's Room and join me there. And as a special promotion for listeners of Releasing Your Inner Dragon, I'll go one step more. If you would like to get 50% off for 3 months, reach out to me. There's a million ways you can do that. You can do it through starvingwriterstudio.com, drakeu.com, any of my social medias such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Reach out to me, say that you would like to check out the Writer's Room for 50% off, and I will send you a link that will allow you to do just that. So hopefully you're ready to start getting serious about writing, and I'll see you in the Writer's Room.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Marie Mullaney, your co-host on this literary adventure. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and discussions on writing. If you believe in our mission, please like and subscribe our podcast. Sharing our episodes with your community not only helps us grow, but also contributes to a richer, more diverse conversation about storytelling. We appreciate your support. For a deeper understanding of the topics we've discussed, head over to Just in Time Worlds on YouTube. It is a treasure trove where fantasy meets history and science. Every Tuesday, you'll find new videos that delve into the intricacies of world building, drawing from our rich real-world history. Whether you're a writer, a role player, or just a fantasy enthusiast, Just in Time Worlds offers unique insights that will enrich your perspective. Check it out and join the journey of crafting incredible worlds.